Okay, we haven't talked about the minus sign or the NOT operator. That's a Boolean part. Let's look at the ways in which the NOT works. Um, I will need the notepad as well for this. I don't know. We just get into the habit of saying that's pretty much our punchline. Anytime that we want to express or give pause, we say A. That's a Canadian style. You just sort of get so, it becomes such a habit sometimes, and not a good one, but, you know, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Okay, I'm going to talk about the NOT operator now, and I'm going to start with some examples. Let's pick him up from the slide here. Okay. I don't know if you know, but the Boolean NOT with the capital letters, which is what is recommended as a Boolean eliminator for excluding certain terms. Traditionally, it should be recognized and it should act the same way as A and D or the OR, but for some reason, Google is decided not to entertain this or not to um, let this work as it's supposed to in the search query. So in other words, do not use NOT with capital N and O and a T because it's not going to work. Instead, we are going to replace it with a minus sign. So that's one of the things that people keep doing. I don't know why, but they have to understand that in Google it won't work. In Bing it does work, but still it's flaky. So not to take a chance on this one, I would rather use a notation of a minus sign. Okay. So in the examples, right over here, let me see if I can make my cursor become a pointer. Show presenter view screen pointer options, laser pointer. Now it's more easy and it's not just going to fade inside of the white background. So in the first one, you see that we have the word peach and then NOT is used just as we would place others like ORs and AND. That's how it is placed. And then we don't want this to bring back the term which is going to be on the right-hand side of it. Okay. Nothing on the left is entertained. It's not recognized to be working with NOT. First of all, NOT is not going to work on Google. We know that. But just to give you an idea, give you an example of how excludes work or anything that is going to exclude any term, it's going to fall on the right hand of it. So any notation or any symbol, anything that you use to get rid of the term, it has to be placed on the right hand side, just as we did over here. So peach pie is something that has to be on the right. However, because NOT does not work, we would have to replace it with a minus sign. And in the second example, you could see, now don't worry about where we've written incorrect. For now, we're just looking at the concepts and understand where the placement of the minus sign should be. So the minus sign you have to place right next to the term that's supposed to be excluded in your search results. Like peach pie, for instance, over here needs to be excluded. So the minus sign has to be hugging the first letter of the word peach, which means no gap between minus sign and the character P, okay, or the alphabet P rather. Okay, so that's the proper way of putting the minus sign. Why it is showing as an incorrect version, there is a reason to it. Unfortunately, I still have to break out of it and then explain it, or better explain it by putting it in the notepad. So let's suppose this is what we have. This is, and I'll just zoom in. Now, the only reason why this could be incorrect is because when we put a minus sign next to peach, it is going to assume that only the word that is attached to it or next to it without any gap needs to be eliminated without any regards to the word pie. So this is the operation actually. And this is a term or a word which is not necessarily connected with the word peach, or it may not be included as the entire or two of these words together to be eliminated. Okay. Only because of one reason. And by the way, did you notice that when you want to get rid of the word peach pie, and you still want the word peach to be included, but exclude peach pie, assuming what you have done is that you have put a minus sign on peach, and then there is another word peach here, which basically is canceling each other out. So that effect is not going to be effective. So what I would do is I would put this within quotation marks to make it into one term instead of two words. So we've got peach pie. And now if I run this query, I should get better results or accurate results rather. One of the things about inserting the term inside of the quotes, and this is just you know uh, one of the limitations of how the keypads sort of gets few things confused. One is, and I'll see if I can explain it better. See, in whenever you're putting the term inside of the quotes, you have to start with the quotes open with the first word, and whatever is ending as the last word of the phrase needs to be quote, inverted quotes, so it becomes an enclosure, right? So quotes open and quotes closed. That's how it is supposed to be. But while we are writing our queries, and this is a very minor mistake, but a major impact to the query. So what happens as a habit, what we do is that once we write the term, we put them within quotes like this. Okay, that's how we do it, right? But a lot of times, this inverted commas or quotation marks open, which is where it should, it's not showing it as clearly in this notepad, but assuming that this is quotes open and this is quotes closed, what happens is that when you insert the term, as I did, let me show you again. If I insert it this way by just going quotes open and quotes closed, okay, what happens is that this quotes open becomes quotes closed and attaches. That's because it has a tendency, or it has this this flaw where it would attach as as quotes closed, and somehow it is uh, you know reacting to the negative sign or whatever is on the left of it. So it sort of leaves it as as quotes closed, and then you're going to put the quote closed here also. So it is not technically, it's not quotation closed, or it is not a phrase. So that's where you keep looking for the error and you can't find it. So, and the other reason that you can't find is because it's written in a very small fonts, especially in the address bar. So you don't notice it that much. That's just a technical thing I want to want you to be mindful of. Okay. So the best way to do it is anytime you have a term on the left and then something that is attached, which you want to separate and put inside of the quotes, open and closed, leave a gap, and then go like this, open and close. Okay. And then just delete that space. So this is going to prevent you from making that mistake. Anyway, we are learning more about the minus sign. So here the minus sign was able to do the job. Then we have, okay, so this is a similar situation as in two. This is where I am showing you the query 3, where it says peach ice cream minus peach pie. So if you want peach ice cream and you don't want peach pie, obviously you're going to put peach pie within quotation marks. So in the fourth one, it is showing the correction. That's it. So it's the placement of a minus sign that is important, that you have to understand. And that's not as complicated, but extremely useful. You will see how we apply this with advanced operators. We don't need to worry about this. This is conceptual. So if in the CRS exam, they give you all these, that is with the pointers right here with the arrows that says the X except Y, the impact of X without Y, X not similar to Y, you can assume that it is talking about the minus sign, or what is a Boolean annotate or a minus. That's just for you to know that only because the exams contain these kind of questions, we are showing it to you in this slide. And the usefulness of a minus sign is exhibited best when you are dealing with a situation we call false positive, which means that the phrasing or the way in which you've written the line or whatever the search terms might be are correct, or they are actually written in the proper English. The only flaw is that it could actually have a different meaning, or it can give a different sense, or the essence of that statement may not be correctly interpreted by the search engine. Those are false positive situations. As an example, you've got John Smith, that you're looking for a resume of John Smith. You're not looking for jobs. You're not looking for sample resumes or samples or templates, anything. Oh gosh. Just give me a moment here. I don't know if we probably left. I just have to get this thing shut totally. I think it's a chat. The only way I can shut this, because it is kind of a application that is actually chasing us or haunting us all across with everybody's computers. So I'm going to have to kill the process. Let me do that quickly. Where is there? Hmm. Keeps jumping. Hold on. Hmm. Where's Gmail? Let's look at it. This keeps jumping. Man, how do I get? Give me a moment. I'm going to stop this share and take care of this one. Sorry about that. Something that should have been disabled, but forgot to do it. So anyway, in this query, if you look at where I am trying to get rid of certain search terms or words that I don't need, I'm going to use a minus sign. Another thing about minus sign is that if it's going to be matched literally exactly the way it is spelled. So if you have a singular or a plural, that's going to have to be included in your exclusions. So where I have minus samples, I would also have minus sample as singular, depending on whatever, whenever you're doing the search and something keeps turning up that you don't require, both as a word, as a set of words, or it's as a search phrase or a long length of line, you will have to, mark them and then put them in your query to filter them out so that you can get to the exact, to what you require. And therefore, this, for instance, where we are talking about false positive, it is assuming that we are looking for John Smith, which is like John Doe. They use it quite often when they're showing some sample resumes or templates of any kind. So the word sample, samples, template, they keep showing up. And that's not what we need. We are actually looking for a guy whose real name is John Smith and where we have written the query correctly, except that the resumes are showing up as sample resumes or templates. We don't want them. So that's a false positive. So John Smith resume is to be looked for, or is to be searched, and I need to get rid of the words like job, sample, samples, templates. Okay. All right. So hmm, some rules for using the minus sign. Let's look at what is incorrect. In the third example, I can see that the word resume needs to be excluded. So at times, what people do is that they use the minus sign with the word uh, to be excluded from, let's say, the search term internet research specialist. And they use it as a choice of or correction of something that is one set, which is internet research specialist, a job description, the job title, but you're not looking for resumes. Or if you write web search specialist jobs and use minus resumes again, as if they're segmented as two queries with the or option, the only thing that is incorrect is how you have put the word resumes in there. Okay. So I want you to know that when we do this, we are writing it incorrectly. And so let's try to correct it. Now the or sign works with the options that is comparing the two job titles, web search specialist jobs or web search specialist jobs or whatever they are using. Okay. So I'm going to have to correct this one. So the idea of this type of query is for you to learn in few ways in which we can make the correction. So one thing that I would do is that I would look at what is considered the job titles. So the job title is web search specialist and internet research specialist, and the word jobs is incorrectly placed, and the words resume is incorrectly um, um, used to be excluded from both of these. So for me to correct it, few things I will do. First is that I would not put the or operator to work with the minus sign as it is placed, like the way it is. And then I have to separate this as a job title, because now I'm going to compare apples with apples or something that is going to find either or, and it should be corrected like this. So I can put, when I put my search term web search specialist and internet research specialist, I am giving it an option to find either of these. But what I'm looking for is jobs. So I've used the word jobs. Sometimes a word career is used, sometimes opportunities is used, or sometimes jobs opportunities are used. So I'm not going to restrict the word jobs by putting it within quotes to make it a mandatory return, but rather make it more flexible for the search to find alternatives or find something that would work the same as the word job. So it will do that substitution. Therefore, I'll just leave it outside of the quotes. And where I'm using a minus sign to get rid of the word resumes, it is going to do the job after it has resolved. Number one, it is going to resolve this first. Then it is going to add the word jobs, and then it is going to eliminate from the outcome of all of this the word resumes. So that's algebraically, this is how it is going to function. Therefore, my query is best served when I've written it as I did in 3.1. Another thing that could be a variation of minus sign. Now, this is another way of using a minus sign. We can use minus sign multiple times and we can use or with it, but there is a way of writing it. So I'm going to show you what that could be. So this is one way of using a minus sign where you're giving it an option. Whatever, terms are there, you can use an or sign, but logically it's not necessary to use or. You can, you know, easily get rid of the or so that the search knows that you don't want any of these words like resumes, curriculum vitae, and all of this. So rather, I would go like this, and then I don't need an or sign. It now has become an absolute command, which means none of these three words, which is resume, CV, the curriculum, I don't want any of these included in my search result. So I can write the query this way as well. The fifth. Okay, so let's suppose I take the same query. I put this way, where I have taken all of these minuses and placed them at the beginning of my search query. Okay. This is not a good practice, primarily because when something starts with a minus and it says resumes, it can be considered, instead of a minus, it can be considered a dash or a notation of some sort. So whenever you are putting something with a minus sign, you don't want to start your query with minus and then followed by the term or the word. So this is incorrect. Okay. Golden rules for using minus sign. So that's all we have to know about the minus sign. Next, I'm going to start to run some search queries from something that I had prepared previously for you, that the class that we missed. So these are some of the examples of using OR and 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 all that. So let's try to get this thing, searched. We have got these queries, so we're going to look at the outcome and touch upon some of the issues of using OR um, and quotation marks. That's the last part or the last segment of our Boolean before we can get to the advanced operators. So let's take a short break, and then when we get started with this, we'll finish it all before the end of the class, and then do some few more examples with the minus sign. So we'll do hands-on practice. We will be using incognito mode for browsing. And if you have incognito, you can turn it on. You can also try to do it. Um, let's do it together. Okay. So Randy has joined us, and obviously we're taking a short break. Hi, Randy. We're taking a short break right now, so can start fresh in about 10 minutes. Can make yourself a cup of coffee and we'll get going with it. So I'll see you in exactly 10 minutes. So what you're looking at is a query which I'm going to run in a browser. We've got three terms. We've got textual semantic search, search engine, and ontology. And all of these are placed within quotes. The idea is to find it in the search results. And these are all enforced. So it is a mandatory return. However, there could be a possibility that one of the terms do not show up in the snippet, but surely they should be present in the page that turns up somewhere there in the body of text. So let's give it a shot. Let's see if it's going to do the job. Okay. So we've got return results, and we see textual semantic search. The word semantic, textual semantic search is there. Search engine is there. But in your results, you don't see the word ontology. Would this mean that the word is not discovered, or it's not doing the job when it's supposed to be included? The answer is that when you get these return results, remember that this area or the description part may be, it may not be able to bring it to your attention. The third term, which is not showing in the description part, is always going to be present somewhere on this page. And that's what we are going to discover. So let me click on this link and see what it's going to show us and find that term ontology. So this is what came back. And I don't see, by just looking at it, I don't see the term. If I do Control F, it's not showing up. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that it is going to be somewhere in the code, which is an embedded word that is not visible to the user. So the next thing I would do is go right click and view the page source and do Control F to find the word ontology. And it seems that it is there because it is showing as here, a node in an ontology. See, this word ontology is there. So it did pick it up. But at times, what happens is that, by design, sometimes it is intentionally concealed or something new or evolving story or something that got edited is, given a remark that it would not show up on the page. But because the search engine is reading the code, it is definitely going to pick it up. So occasionally when you don't find something here, you know that it is always there somewhere in the source code, and you can look for this line, and somewhere that it is not appearing, it's only because it is intentionally hidden, or it's part of the embedded code, but not necessarily showing. So I'm going to try one more time to see if it is showing at all. No. So that means that it is embedded in one of these boxes or something that is requires for you to sign in or subscribe to. See, it's saying login, sign up. So it is actually running it behind. There is a lot of content that is running behind this, but it's not visible. Okay. So that's why I am trying to give you this word ontology as something that, if not discovered in the description, will definitely be in the source code. Okay. Yeah, these are all three are the same. Okay, at times, you don't get, in order to show you the most relevant, we have omitted some entries very similar to three already. Feel like you can repeat the search with the model. So apply all. Here is another one. An approach. There is this approach to how you're going to use the OR. In this query, we have used two terms, textual semantic search or search engine and ontology. Um, if we are getting results like 1,290,000 and it's too large, we may want to restructure the query. So let's look at how it is restructured. First, I'm going to run it in the browser and get the results. If they are adequate and sufficient for me, I try to use the vertical bar. So I'm replacing OR with the vertical bar, same thing. And let me run it. So it's got 1,240,000 results. Okay. So what if, see in this one, what we are asking for the search is to find either of these two terms, but an added term ontology should also be available in the results, except that the wording ontology is not given a choice. So it is a mandatory return, whereas search engine and textual semantics is a choice. If I want to get less results, instead of 240,000, I want to make it more precise. There is ways in which I can rephrase it. Okay, so let me just zoom in a little bit. So query B has got the word ontology there, but we opened it up a little. We removed the quotation marks. We moved the word, we added the word search engine for the same query, along with the word semantic search. So why did we do this? Is because up till here, textual semantic search and semantic search would probably have the same meaning or could be more satisfactory. So what I've done is added the word semantic search to be matched with textual semantic search, as if both can be substituted instead of using search engine as an option, which sort of makes it not as comparable or as satisfying to include the word semantic in it. And therefore, I have actually added another term, semantic search, and I have not used search engine as something which is comparable to textual semantics. So we would be then approaching a point where a restructuring of the query is required, an additional word or additional context should be placed alongside or and comparable term which is similar. And then I've left the word ontology open so that if ontology is not found, it should still be all right. Unless I'm very specific and I need these, I would then put it within the quotation marks. So this is restructuring the query, especially with relationship to the OR. Here is redefining the query again. We could do that. And in this one, it's a long one. Textual semantic, semantic search, search engine, ontology. And then I've used the or sign to sort of compare. In fact, what I should do is just remove the machinery here And now I've got three terms: AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning as another segment, whereas this part has become an additional or another segment. So I placed a word in between so that it sort of separates the function right here as comparable or as executable with OR, uh, making it a separate segment, and this has become another segment. So two segments here, this term to be included, and ontology can be the option given to the search. Okay. Mm, if I ran this one, for instance, in the search, let's see what happens. Ontology is optional here. Picked up semantic search engine. Let's open it up. See if it has got the word textual in it or not. Does not have it. Semantic search, it has that. It has 19 occurrences, semantic search. Semantic search. I'm trying to find the word textual, and then I'm going to explain why. Ontology is there, search engine is there, semantic search is there, but the word textual is missing. So why textual is missing is because it had a or in between, and it took semantic search as an option and search engine as an option and ontology as an option. So everything that is going to be considered as given an option will execute as a search would consider certain combination of words to be more popular, more significant, and therefore, and where we have search engine as a mandatory return, it's not going to interact with or, rather it is going to be something that essentially has to be found. And then the word ontology obviously was a discretionary word, and it did find something with the ontology in it. Okay. So the behavior of OR needs to be understood slightly better, meaning that textual semantic would not necessarily combine with search engine. Semantic search would not necessarily combine with search engine. Anytime you put an OR, it is going to only look for an option that is for the more popular term that is going to be closest to it, which means semantic search or textual semantic search, either of these two. Okay. So it is not going to interact with search engine as much as it would for anything that is on either side of it. Okay. Now, this is a long query. In fact, let's just use it the way it is written. Now, supposing you have multiple terms that you want to use it with the OR operator, all of these: internet research, internet search, online search, web research, online research. So all these could be options because, people use different terminology for the same thing. So you can put it with the or operator, except that you look at the results, it's 75,500,000. Now, if I want to shorten the query or make it slightly actually shorter, I would actually write it like this: online, web, internet, research, or search. And in the research part, I have placed the word research within quotation marks so that the word internet does not combine with research as if it is one term. Therefore, I have to put it within quotes. And then after putting an or as a comparison, I'm still okay with the word search. So ideally, it would function like this, as if it is resolving two sets or two groups. Okay. If I did not put the word within quotations, then I'm dealing with slight bit of complexity here, or it may not be as accurate because now internet research would club together and it depends on how the search engine would like it to be, either use it as a single word or combine it. So it might be a problem. Therefore, I have to put it inside of the quotes. So if I run this one, I get far too many results and I want to narrow it down a little bit. So that's why I'm going to use an alternative query here. What is frequently, what is the differentiator or the words that are different? The word research and search is used quite frequently here with all these terms. So I'm going to separate the words research and search and then use the words like online or the word web or internet as an option. That's why we have done what we did with the next query, which I'm putting through now. Uh, what I did is that I shortened it. This should do it, and this should still bring me better results. So instead of like writing a long query, if I wrote it like this, I would probably get similar results. You could see that they're almost similar. So always, whenever you are building a search query, try to make it more concise, yet should be effective and still conform to what your intent is. If I ask you to look at it one more time, you would see that E has now transformed into F. Okay. We don't actually put the parentheses just for explaining. So this would have been a good replacement for E. See, research and search. These are common words that are, you know, between all five, six of these search terms. And web, online, and internet are the other three words. Yeah. So we sort of separated them and compared research with search, as both will do, alongside the word internet, web, and online. So shortened it literally. Should get in the habit of making it a better version instead of writing very long queries. I don't know if you know, but the length of how much of or how long of a search query you can put in the address bar, there is a limitation to it. Like it should not be more than 32 words, or should be less than 168 words, or almost 168 words. That's what Google says, but it keeps changing that kind of that kind of embargo that they put. So it just keeps moving from 32 to it became 36 words, and they keep experimenting with it. But you don't want to make it too long. So if supposing that this was the length of the query, and assuming that it stops or the count or the maximum count stops at what you've written, that starting with online search, uh, this part, then the search would work like this. It would entertain online research, research, and web search, but ignore totally everything that is beyond this or starting from or onwards. So this will totally be ignored if the length is, as I mentioned, 168 characters or 32 words. That's to our best knowledge right now. Um, then we've got another query, which is using actually, let me just copy it once again. I'm going to use the notepad. Mm, So what I have here, you can just ignore the brackets for now. Just assume that we've got one, two, three, four search terms on either side of OR, which means that our OR is trying to compare two groups. One group, let's say marketing trends and marketing survey can be one group, market research and marketing industry can be another group. And if you want to compare the two so that whatever is on the right of it should be a choice versus whatever is on the left of it. Uh, or alternatively, you can call it group A, and this could be group B. Okay. If these two groups needs to be compared, then what would be the outcome, or whether you can write it the way it's written or not. Uh, just again, don't worry about the parentheses. That's just for explanation. So what ideally happens when you have a group comparison is that OR is going to react to marketing industry or marketing trends first before it is going to look for words like market survey or market research, because they are on the more extremities of what is closest. Um, so therefore, these two wordings or these combinations would be entertained first. In any case, the search has a heuristic approach to looking at the search query. So it's not as effective of a concept. Rather, it just starts to mix and match. What the search does when you are, or if you compare it with how, you know, in the algebraic sense, how this equation should be resolved with the quotation marks in closed terms. Um, it is shown with the bracket here as one pair, and then this could be the other one. Okay, so this would be the next one, meaning outside of the bracket. Once these two get resolved, then they attach to either market survey or the outcome might attach to market research. But the action of the search engine is quite erratic. It's not predictable when you go like this. In other words, even if you put the terms within, let's say, parentheses as two groups, a lot of times you see that on the internet they explained how the parentheses can be used in Google search, but that is not correct. The Google is very clear about the parentheses. It says that the parentheses do not work, so don't use it in your search queries. However, in Bing, you can use the parentheses to separate them or to make them into two groups while using the OR. So that is a really big difference between Bing and Google because they're more particular and more, uh, conscious about using the booleans in the sense or using them in the same way as they would in the algebraic equations. So that's the biggest difference. Anyway, just because parentheses are not going to work, and I told you how the results might show up, let's just actually try it in the browser to see what's going to be the outcome. And then I'll explain why it is so with the results that show up. Get rid of this. And there we go. So let's insert this query and see what happens. I'm going to assume that the search would start to pick up any of these terms as priority or as more prevalent or something that is coming with more frequency in the first few results or in the first page of SERPs with more of their occurrences in the description that you would look at. So let me run this and see what happens. We've got marketing trends, market survey, marketing industry, and market research. So four different terms. Let me look at the notes just to see. Hmm. Okay, so the behavior, disintegration of the search terms. So what do we find here? We find the word marketing. It is in the or market research that is showing in the URL. Then we've got market research, market survey. But marketing trends and marketing industry is not showing up. So let's open it and see what it says. There is a actual link there somewhere, I think. Okay, anyway, let's run it. Marketing trend and marketing industry, right? That's not showing up. So marketing trends, control F. Didn't pick up marketing trend here. And it did not pick up marketing industry. It's a long document. Remember that whenever we are using the OR operator, now this is something that I want, there'll be more of these return results that we can actually look at to find some variations of how the search is going to interpret these wordings inside of the quotation marks, even though quotation mark wants it to be exactly verbatim as they're stated, even with singular and plurals. But whenever you're giving it an option with the OR, it is going to look at the derivatives of it, or it is going to default to the root words as you would have uh, understood with the way in which lemmatization works or the stemming works. So that would happen whenever you're using the OR as an option. Any given option to the search, which is in the shape of or something that is not enclosed within quotation marks, will always be used by the search engine as if the option includes doing lemmatization and stemming. Like it would also look for the words, let's say if it was marketing trends and there was the word market and the word trends, or uh, market behavior to replace trends, it's going to do that and it's going to find that also. That's because we have used the OR. If we had not used OR, it is going to assume that all terms are mandatory for it to find as they are verbatim. So this is what happens with the OR. So you will find several results and you can actually look at them and also observe the same situation. Let me see if I have the link that I saved. Mm, Let me look at the range. So it includes either or both terms, marketing, trans market. So, mm, and it's going to use lexical semantics. So anyway, I'm going to give you these notes. These are short notes, more of observations for you to actually work with the OR operators. Anyway, well, if we want to make it a query, so we've got four terms here, and this is all marketing industry, market research, market trends, service. You will get different sets of results, or the results would be much larger. So anytime that you want to be more focused, I would recommend to break the search in two parts, where you would separate market trends or market survey as being closest terms to work as a separate search, and make market research and market industry as another set of search, so that you can get more precise results. It's very hard to work with OR where you have given it a lot of options alongside it, and so it just starts to do or perform unpredictable results, even though the terms will be there, but it won't know which is of priority to you, or what terms are compared to each other as being more similar, that would be satisfying, give you the satisfactory results. If you don't pair them, or if you don't put them as two options together versus four options altogether, it is going to give you whatever it thinks or it finds at its own convenience. So it is less controlled. Anyway, this is going to this, you look 288 million, so far too many results. So I would rather, just break it into two queries, right? Or I could do it like this. Only 156,000 results. This could be even better. Now we have forced it with with putting an OR. Actually, really, the results balloon. They just become too many. Okay, so that's all that you should always remember to whenever you're using OR. Too many results. Okay, so we get done with this. Now let's look at the slides to see where we are. Mm, done this. This example you can read. It's pretty much the same. What I've told you is about not using the parenthesis. So it's not as important. Let's start working with the advanced search operators now. We are done with booleans. I'm going to start using another set of slides that's going to talk about advanced search operators. Why they placed it here. Okay. In your slides that you have it in the PDF format. You would see one of the slides appear as they are showing, but they're too busy and sometimes could be confusing. Um, but I'll try to explain it anyways because you'll come across this. This is more like a summary of how we are going to do search or what is involved when you're building your search queries and using other search tools. So whenever you're doing building your search queries, there would be two sets of advanced operators that are separated according to how much of a precision they or a precision results they will bring back to you. If we are going to use a lot of restrictors, including advanced search and the basic search operators, booleans, those are for bringing more precision results. But precision results will also depend on how you have worded or phrased your search, as well as the context that you have in hand. If you don't have a lot of information about something, it is even the precision search is not going to do the job. Alternatively, we have another approach which uses a separate set of operators for the same reason, where you don't have a lot of information about a subject or a topic, or you remember partially something um, that's written as a phrase or is a part of the book title, or where you are clueless about where to go or to find something, but you have an idea of what you are looking for, but not exactly where, how to, where to begin. You're going to use a different set of operators to do that, and you're going to let the search engine open up more and bring the results based on the clues that you would give it while you're typing your queries. That approach is called proximity search. So that part is slightly separate. And for proximity search, we use operators like around with the number of words that you put inside of the parentheses. Don't worry about it. We'll get to that. But just so you know, there's a different set of operators. Even the asterisk that we use, or wildcard we call it, is also part of the proximity search. So it brings back information based on little bit of info or little bit of context that you bring to it, and then it fits in or completes something which may require a little bit of thought from the mechanical side of the search, or for the search to bring back to you what it thinks is best. So that's proximity. We are now going to look at precision search. We do it in two ways. We do keywords and search phrases that we use selectively. We do long tail, short tail. We've talked about hat tail and modifier. So that's the keywords. And the second approach is operators that are but the ones that are mentioned here in these boxes are basically a category of advanced search operators placed against or besides these categories. One of the categories of advanced search is file formats, which is going to extract a specific type, or the type of files like PDFs, doc, XLS, etc. Is snippet related, or the ones that are going to query the tags inside of the HTML to find that or compare words inside of those tags. Those are what we call snippet based. We do a search in title tags. We look for something that is brought back in snippets and shows in the description part, which we call extraction from the body of text. And then there are links or URLs, which needs to be matched with the search terms. And there are specific operators for this. Similarly, there's domains, source, number range, short searches, and so on. And then we also use signs and notations. Each of these notations may be having a meaning for the search. So we will try to find what these can be effective or useful for. And everything else that is on the right hand or is showing is just as a it's a reference, it's a quick um, sort of a summary of things that you will be learning. So I won't really go too much deeper into it, but just to explain how this chart is set, then how do you read the search pages? What are specialized search engines? There is a list or reference guides that we have placed in your Dropbox that gives you links to specialized search engines or specialized portals, online databases, tools that you can use. All of those are listed under the specialized search engines. Even though they are not all of them are search engines, but somehow we have labeled it collectively as specialized search engines. Box folder that you see, which says reference guides, that has the entire booklets with the listing of these specialized search engines. So that could be helpful. Then there is a deep web. We're going to talk about that as well. But we start with, or we are going to begin with understanding how the mm, advanced search, or how the advanced search operator look like. Okay. Um, in the bullet points that are in red fonts, that's how we have separated or segregated, rather classified the type of advanced operators. Like snippet related, there is one that's called in title colon, and there is all in title. Similarly, for the description tag in the snippet that is in gray color showing multiple lines, we get that information by querying specifically with in text colon and all in text colon. In URLs, we use in URL colon and all in URL. Format restrictors is a file type colon, source of info, related, where we compare or we look for, competitors that have the same keywords used in the websites. That's going to be the information that we can seek using related colon. Source gives you all sorts of info from images to any other um, sources like news. If it is a news, that's what you're looking for, or articles, we're going to use colon sign. Links, when you discover different links or URLs that are bringing or is pointing to your site, or it's even on the third party platform, those links are also collected. Literally, it's a scraping of links that contains certain words or certain domain names. Then we have a domain restricted site colon, and then and with the site colon, we are restricting our search result from a specific site, but there is a convention and there's a way in which site colon as well as file type and other operators need to conform to as the kind of info or the type of um, the declared value that you're going to put after the colon sign, that has to be specifically formatted in certain way. Like in title, for instance, you could put a text or anything that is considered a textual format after the colon sign, could be a word or the search phrases. Similarly, in text, you would also entertain the textual format. In URL would do the same. Whereas in the format restricted file type, it has to be a file type that is actually at the time of indexing is available or is separating it into those formats um, which are given as a list of type of extensions or formats that would be putting those documents in their original formats, like PDF, Excel, um, and so many others. But at the same time, there are other formats that it does not accept, like MPEG, JPEG, PNGs, MOVs. So many of the formats you would find, interestingly, that is not actually declarable, or it is not entertained or accepted uh, after the colon sign. So that part we'll have to look at the list to see what we cannot use. Then we've got never mind source of info, because all three of them vary, and you can use text as well as links as well as the domains for all three of them. So we're just going to leave it out. Domain restrictor means anything that you're going to declare, put as a value after the colon sign, has to be a domain name written in full, meaning that you put the domain name with the extension that comes after the dot, could be .com, .edu, or whatever else that makes it a domain name. So if you put it as a text without extension of a domain, the type of domain or the level of domain like .com, .edu, it's not going to work. Those are just basic restrictions. Then we've got date range. Date range, that's a new operator that's been introduced like about almost a year and a half ago. There was another one before that was called date range with a colon sign. Uh, that is no longer available and it's retired practically. So instead of that, you use before with the colon and the word after of, and in the colon sign to put a date, as if you are giving it a restriction to find something before a certain date or after a certain date. You can also put both of these operators in the same search query. Just giving you an overview right now. It's not like we are not going to run these queries, or we are not going to go further with explaining it. So it's going to be an in-depth sessions. In the next three classes that we have, we are going to discuss all of these in great detail. Proximity search operators include around, where around is in capital letters, as you could see. In small letters, it will not work, so you have to be mindful of that. Whereas in all others, you could see that I've used small fonts. and that's pretty much standard. I wouldn't use capital formats in any case. It's just that that's considered it a practice or consider it an experience. I would rather be using small letters and not the capital letters. Then in proximity search, this is one exception where AROUND I'm going to use with the capital letters. Um, Next, we have symbols and notations. That's also going to be discussed. One of the symbols we'll talk about greatly is the asterisk or a wild card that we also call it a placeholder, which tells the search to bring something that is missing or is incomplete. So it's going to fill in that placeholder with the most appropriate or most relevant wordings in there. Dollar sign we use quite often. At we use to find emails or look for. Um, I'm still getting the chat with the Jivo chat. I'll just pause for a second. I got to get rid of this bell that's ringing on Jivo. Just give me a moment, please. Close this thing. Out of this Jivo chat. Okay, so sorry for the interruption. Now let's look at how the operators are together. In a typical advanced search operator, you'd find that there is a text or a word like file type, and it is followed by the colon sign. And this is pretty much the same for all of the advanced operators, with the exception of few. The format is exactly as it is shown here. So the file type is something that we called a property name. That's the technical term. Um, and unless you put a colon sign without any gaps, or unless the colon sign uh, is is uh, is attached to the word itself, it is not going to have any meaning. So the colon sign is what makes it an operator, and it has a very vital function in recognizing how the execution of or whether this query needs to be executed. It is a trigger basically for the word file type to act to allow for the search to act in a certain way. So if you isolate or separate colon sign from the word file type has no meaning. Yet The colon sign is responsible for not only giving the meaning to what needs to come or what needs to be declared after the colon sign against the file type, it is telling the search to execute an operation, or it is a function that is making it active, or activating a function is what is the responsibility of a colon sign. We call colon sign a property operator, and it is responsible to execute a command. What is declared after the colon sign is also very specific, like whether it has to be a word, or it has to be a text, or it has to be a domain name, or it could be the file format. So it just depends. If you declare it incorrectly, or something is placed after the colon sign, as in this case where we have used file type and a colon, it is asking to put the format of a document. So unless I put PDF here, it is not going to function. I can put any other word, or I can just put a PDF document as two words. It is still not going to recognize it. So it is very specific as to what needs to be declared after the colon sign. And the declared value, we call it, is also called a property value. So property name and property value are two important concepts, and across the board it's going to be the same. For instance, if you're going to use snippet related advanced operators in title, in text, and URL, it is only the text that has to be put in. So it could be one word, or it could be group of words put within quotations. If it is a file format, it has to be specific enough, or it has to be the kind of formats that the search engine would accept as having a value or having an operation to work with file type colon. Uh, Date formats, there is a specific way in which you're going to put month, year, and a day. So, what could be the convention that would recognize it or make the before and after work? That part we have to be very clear about and understand the format in which that date has to be put in. Domain format, the site colon, for instance, link colon, source colon, they all use domain names. We have to have a domain name there. URL, the link, source colon, and in URL. So you have to put the URL format, which could be just the domain or an extension of the domain with subfolders intact. So you can use that format, which is just copy and paste of a link, part of the link, or even the whole link, to work with the link colon. So that's just giving you an itinerary of what needs to be declared as a property value in the advanced search operations. Okay, don't need to worry. So query structure, what this is simply telling you, and by the way, this arrow upwards, this is just denoting the gap, or a gap of a single character in between these two sets of terms, or whatever is on left and right of it. That's just a gap. That's all it's saying. It's giving you an indication for what we are able to do with advanced operator is that we can combine them together, or we can consider these two, for instance, as an example, or two separate type of queries. But when we build a query with understanding and knowledge about the advanced operators, we can use it as interoperable, or use them in combination with each other. So that, and make sure they work alongside each other and not against each other. Certain operators are, or certain class of advanced operators are called absolute command, which means that it would not work with the same operator in the same query, or it would even not work with other operators. So they sort of are absolute enough that it would not exist or execute with or operate with any other operator. So that there is a list of those, and they're coming from the same class of operators that we just discussed. One of the example is whenever you're using the word all and you use all in title, it would not work unless you're and there is a work around it unless you do certain tricks. It is an absolute command. Similarly, related colon is an absolute command. It would not work with any other operator in the same query. And so we will continue to discuss that later. For now, let's assume that these are two queries, and if we have to combine them together, that's how we are going to build it. And you could see how these two work together. Basically, it is just giving you a sense of how two separate pieces glue together and work with the cooperation of each other, where you're going to put certain words the way they're set here in the example. So if it is site colon irs.gov and you want a form 1040 followed by the file type, which needs to be a PDF, and the term that would be preferable is download, you can literally be putting these two together in combination to give you a document which is a PDF file. That's all this is saying. So your query is exactly how it is written, except that anything that is in arrow is assumed to be a gap of a single character. And there is an assumption that an assumed plus sign exists whenever you put a gap in between terms, or even the advanced operators with the gap means that it needs to be combined. Okay. Literally, it is two pluses. If we separate this, or let's even just take it out. And I'll explain it in this. So if we have this query with two operators, what it is telling you is that this gap is considered an assumed plus sign. But if you recall, I gave you a concept of um, enforcing the plus sign. And with one plus, with adding only one plus sign, I was giving you a notion that it is assumed to be a plus sign, but it's not enforceable. And just for explaining, I put another plus sign just so that you can think of the additional plus sign as an enforceable plus, meaning that it is doubly assured that, or it is definite that the single plus is where the single plus is a choice, the double plus you can assume to be a mandatory um, addition or connection or a connector between the terms. So let's uh, on the same assumption, let's assume that this is a doubly plus with the gap here. Same way over here, there is two pluses, and this is a single plus. Okay. So if only I can explain, this is the best way I can explain it. Okay. Even though there is no concept of putting a plus sign, you know that, right? Just that you know that whenever there is a gap with something starting with a quotation mark, it is mandatory. The entire statement itself till here is a mandatory return, or it's enforced, or is executed as it is laid out. And the last word download is not in quotation marks. So there is a single plus sign saying that it is not enforced but preferred. Okay. So to find the word download is preferred. If not, still something that the search might just drop or substitute. All of it up till here will be a single search query. Okay. So anytime you're going to use the advanced operators in a search query, they are considered mandatory for the search to execute as if the instructions are firm instructions, and it should execute with all the advanced operators along the query or length of the query. So this is just conceptual. Mhm. See, this is what I was looking for, and this could be a very useful slide. Remember, we were talking about the length of search query you can insert in a search box. This is probably the best, I guess. It's a collection of information about, the limitations of how much is available or what could be limit to writing a number of words or the, well, you know, for instance, this part. This is what we were looking for. Google search limits to 32 words to a search query. Each word is also limited to 128 characters. So you have to remember that in case you are, especially when you're using multiple minuses to exclude certain terms, it can become a very long string of minuses. Depending if the false positive is not getting cleared, then you keep putting the minus signs. It becomes very long. So be mindful not to exceed 128 characters. You may also want to Google it a little to get the latest info on this. I'll do the same, but this is a useful slide and a lot of information is included in here. Mm, These are just short, like for instance, in URLs, should be up to 2083 characters or less. Uh, So if a URL is too long and that page needs to be found, it may not be indexed by the search engine. So that part is something that is beyond your control, and it is quite mechanized in giving it a limit to what it will accept, and therefore that page can be totally dropped. So these little things might matter if you have these at the back of your mind. Like the title, for instance, this could be also another useful information where you have the title tags, and inside of the title tags, the title statement, if it is too long or it is more than 70 characters or between 55 to 70 characters, the search might think of it as if you're trying to stuff that title with certain keywords to make it more searchable, where the title apparently or the meaning of the title as Google wants it to be set should be to use very precise and concise wordings that explains in short what the site is about or what the page is about. So they have given it a demarcation of 55 to 70 characters. In other words, it could be a limitation to using in title with very long search terms, or if you have phrased something that is not part of the title generally, it may be ignored. And therefore, for doing searches with very concise power words, words that exist in the title, you cannot make it too long or make it precise enough that it should match with the limitation of what the title statement should ideally be inside of the title statement. So this is only 55 to 70 characters, not much to match with, but about enough if you use the right terms. Okay, so now I want to discuss file type first. Okay. So file type will search for formats, HTML doc Excel, like Microsoft Office Suite, we do a lot of search using these type of extensions. Like PowerPoint has PPT, TXT is for Notepad, PDFs. More often, we use PDF as a restrictor. Um, and these are just some of the bullet points giving you what formats, the type of documents usually are set or placed inside of, like scholarly articles, or serious research papers, or something that is slightly more secure, and something that has a the right type of content and more detailed content is PDF formats. Examples are just given as a reference. Other type of formats like PowerPoint presentations, when you're looking to find something that is giving you concise information, maybe bullet point information, you may want to also search the PowerPoints instead of just PDFs. Excel sheets, you'll be surprised. A lot of times you forget, but when you're looking for data tables or raw data or anything that has got a lot of values inside of placed in a tabular format, you should be looking to do a search with the XLS. You'll be finding a lot more information that way, and we normally fail to do that. You just keep using PDFs as more preferred search. But mind you that if you have to search for video files, and if you are looking for MPEG and MOV or MP4 and so on, you won't be able to do it with the file type. Similarly, image files like JPEG, JPG, PNG, GIF, XPS, you won't be able to run it in a search query using file type colon, because it would not accept it as an agreeable or executable formats with the file type colon. Looking for non-licensed material, you can search for docx, txts, and so on. These are less secure and more data available, and data that you can transfer easily with the copy and paste. Sometimes PDFs are secured for copying or copy pasting anything, or extracting images or graphs or charts. So that's more secure versus docx, doctxt, etc. Okay, now let's look at the list of file formats that it would accept, and those that it will exclude or would not find the information for. I'll see if I have it in this one. Otherwise, I will open up that page in the book. And this is the book that would have a list. So I'm going to look for the file type, um, and bring to your attention that list, because I don't want you to be searching for formats that are not supported by this operator. So let's look at this list on page 118, and this is the one. So if you look carefully, it has got these listed here. Um, and this is you know all the lists, it has everything covered in this list. So whatever is supported by the search using file type is listed here. Like PowerPoint, you can do doc files, or docx you can search for. Open Office you can search for. uh, SVG, see certain graphic files that would allow you to make changes, or they are easy to work with. If you want to do some add some graphics or edit those files, you can look for .svg. You can look for images, like satellite images, if you're doing what do you call the investigations, or trying to find a reference to the history of certain images that are actually there, that exist for a certain place, but you cannot find it when you're doing the search while accessing Google Earth. I don't know if you know about Google Earth. It just gives you the satellite images. So journalists use this data a lot. It's in the format .kml and .kmz. It's just for your information. So there could be a good find where certain formats can be really helpful if you know the utility. So if you want to Google something in .kml or KMZ, it will bring you some historical shots of satellite pictures of a location or buildings or anything that you want to see if any changes um, from the current picture of it or the satellite view of it. You can compare it with the historical uh, uh, file that can be retrieved using it in file type. Anyway, HTML, all the search pages are in HTML format, so I won't even worry about it. I mean, this is given its standard. All HTML pages are accessible when you do your search. So you don't need to be putting in HTML format there. Anyway, that's something that we will work with. And we will also see certain text files that contain, information that is listed here. If you want to search XML files, XML or .xml would allow you to get a deeper look at how certain websites or certain um, I guess navigations of a large size website can easily be navigated by just capturing the XML part of the code. That makes it easy for you to look at what are the number of pages. But this is outside of the scope of what we are about to get to. We mostly work with Word file, mostly MS Office uh, formats. That's where we're going to work with. And for those formats that we seek, mostly for finding images or finding video files like MOVs and all that, we'll have to find a way to work around to not necessarily be using file type colon, but instead we can execute it by just applying the colon sign. In fact, you would be surprised at how useful that colon sign is. And like I said, it's a workaround to find those formats that otherwise are not supported by file type. Okay, so we haven't even started with running the file type queries yet. So let's just keep it for tomorrow. We'll be doing a lot of examples with the file type. There is a video also that I've pointed you to. Remember the ones that I showed you before. So you can find a video there that's going to help you when we meet next tomorrow. If you get a chance, just go through it. It's just 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, I think, but it's a lot of help to you. So let me get to that. I'm going to go back to YouTube.
Welcome to our short presentation.
Date range, domain. I think this is the one. So a direct link.
Hi.
I don't know where this ads are coming from. Sorry about that. There's a stupid ads. Let's,
Queries A.
so let's just give you this one,
Query
and then I'm going to give you
theoretically, it is bound to
Okay, so this link, I would want you to just go through it. It's just 5-6 minutes, if you can, please, when we meet tomorrow. Now we have unfortunately, I couldn't take the class on Friday and Monday, and so I had to finish everything this week, and so I rearranged or rescheduled all of the classes sequence, like back to back for the next 3 days. It's going to be continuous classes until Friday. So that's going to be a bit of a strain for all of you. But if you can make it, that'll be wonderful. I just have a lot to explain to you in the next 3 classes just to wrap up the advanced operators. And they would not only be conceptual things, but the hands-on search queries that we will be running. So a good idea to be present, and you can all participate at the same time to ask questions. It'll be wonderful. If you go through this video, you may have questions to ask as well. So I'll be hoping and expecting that we'll try to make our next few sessions more interactive, and for you to ask questions, real questions. So anything that I can explain further, because I'm going to now wind up our today's session and then continue with the file type tomorrow. That's going to be finished in the first half. And then we're going to start with in title, in text, and in URL, the snippet related advanced operators. Anything that you have a question for? We've got, who is here? Mm. So, Kristen,
Yes.
everything's good?
Everything's good. I want to sit here and I want to go explore and figure out how to do this, and I do better just picking something and then figure out what can I go do. So I want to go play now.
Absolutely, because obviously it's one thing that I've explained something which may not be as easy for you to, unless you've got things going on with queries yourself, and it would be more difficult. It's just like teaching theory of things happening, when this should be more on the practical side. So if you do hands-on, that would be a better approach, and always should be like this. Randy, you there? So anyway, Listy.
I'm here. No questions. No questions.
Yeah. You would have to look at the recording, I guess, and then see if you get a chance to look up the this link that I gave you for the video. That's what we're going to be discussing next. File type has got a lot of creativity around it that would really help, and some of the rules that we have to apply on file type. I'm sure you'll have more questions tomorrow when we run those queries. So I'll say good day or good evening to everybody right now. And Listy is sent something, no question. So anyway, Listy, have a wonderful day. It's early morning for you. All the best. See you guys tomorrow. All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you. Bye bye.